Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Joel Frame, and I am the Imperfect Dad.
He's a dad and he's super rad. Sometimes he's good and sometimes he's bad. He's the imperfect dad.
All right. Yo, no joke. I've missed you guys terribly. I hope everyone had an incredible Christmas, an incredible New Year. We had an awesome time. We went to Evansville, which is where Tracy's parents live, and we spent about 10 days there. And it was amazing. It was super freaking cold though. And that kind of stunk because we didn't get to play as much disc golf as we wanted to. And I know that sounds really nerdy, but deal with it. I love disc golf, and so does my father-in-law. And we normally like to get out a good bit, but we only got to play a couple times because it was so darn cold. And the one time we drove 2 hours, we got permission from our wives to kind of take the day, take a road trip, and go play a really, really high-rated disc golf course in Centralia, Illinois. It was about 2 hours away, and it was at a place called Foundation Park, and it was beautiful. We were having a great time, my father-in-law and I. And about halfway through the second round, I said, "Man, I don't feel real good, Bob. Something's not right." And he said, "Oh man, well, let's try and play a couple more holes." So I said, "Okay, let's do it." And about a hole or two later, it was couldn't have been more opposite. We went up to the basket, and there were like 5 deer standing around it grazing, and it was beautiful. And it was cold. We were in these woods, and all of a sudden I was like, "Yo, I got to throw up." So I'm behind a tree, just puking my eyeballs out of my head, and there's just these beautiful little deer just grazing around the basket, and I'm like, "Ugh, ugh." And it was a pretty sad sight, to say the least. So we had to drive 2 hours back, and I kind of contained myself the whole ride back, but we got about a mile from the house, and I had to throw up again. I don't know what hit me. It went through that whole night. Luckily, nobody else got it. But that knocked me out for a couple days, and then I had pneumonia somehow from it, and so I had to get on antibiotics. So that wasn't any fun, but I powered through it. I think I did a pretty good job powering through it. I think my wife would attest to that. I know there's a running joke amongst all you wives that we men take colds a little bit harder. And I don't know the science behind that. I don't think there really is any science behind it. I think we just, man, carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders, our bodies just break down. And so those things tend to hit us a little bit harder. I'm just kidding. Don't get mad at me. I'm just kidding. We do. We're babies. We like to get babied. That's it. I like to get pampered by my wife. And you can lock me up, throw away the key. I'm still going to be singing that song. Okay? So, anyways, we still had a great time. And Christmas was just unbelievably magical. Just watching our kids. It never gets old, and it gets better every single year. They got some really, really cool toys, and it's like you get to this point to where, I got a couple little things and that really sweet things and things that are really going to be useful. But I didn't get a ton of stuff, and I'm totally fine with that. I love that change, and that happened a while ago, but especially once you have kids, I feel like you just don't really care about that stuff anymore. I find joy in their joy. And so it was just really cool. We put out carrots for the reindeer that night, and we put out milk and cookies for Santa, obviously, that the girls made. And it was fun because Nana and I, my wife's mom and I, were in the kitchen taking big old bites out of these big raw carrots that were laying out on the sidewalk, and we realized the dog had probably been licking more than likely, before we were taking big bites out of it. But it's okay. The girls got up and the carrots had bites taken out of them. So the reindeer obviously had some treats, and presents were under the tree. And it was just magical. It was magical all the way around. Uncle Clay and Aunt Tiff were able to be there that morning for the gift openings, and it was just awesome. It was really, really special. And Christmas Eve this year was incredible. Normally, Christmas Eve is like, I really like it, but this year we just really made the most of it. Great conversation, great time together. Christmas Eve was arguably better than Christmas Day. It was just beautiful, beautiful time together. And then we went and saw Tracy's whole side of the family, or her dad's side of the family, on Christmas Day, and that was an absolute blast. It's always a blast seeing cousins and having fun. And the kids now are big enough where they're running around, and so really special. We got to see some family. We threw a surprise 60th birthday party for my mother-in-law. That was awesome. Managed to get by without her finding out, but super cool. Really excited. I am so excited for this new year. We had an awesome new year as well. We just celebrated it with my in-laws. It was just the four of us, me, Tracy, and Nana and Bop. And we got up when Mariah Carey was singing the Hero song, and we danced like middle schoolers. Tracy said, you know what, we should dance like middle schoolers. And so we did. And we had an awesome time. And it was super funny and real fun. And why don't they make good music like that anymore? Good R&B music. It's all like butts and boobies, butts and boobies. You know what I mean? I want to hear that stuff, dude. I want to hear Mariah Carey's Hero and Heartbreaker and the other one that's escaping my mind right now, but it's my favorite Mariah Carey song of all time. Always Be My Baby, yeah. Anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, New Year's. It was awesome. That's what we did. Played cards, hung out, had a blast. But I'm so excited for 2018. I'm so excited for the podcast. I am actually going to be, if you follow me on Facebook, then you saw this. If you don't, then do it. Just search at Dad Imperfect or The Imperfect Dad, and you'll find me and follow me. And you'll get all the updates and pictures that I post and stuff. But anyways, I'm going to be changing the releases now. I'll be releasing a podcast every other week, because each podcast is going to be more focused around kind of a central theme, and more tips and hopefully helpful advice and things like that in the episode. So I want to be able to have a longer period of time to prepare those things, because I have some other things that I work on as well. And so I just want to make sure I have the proper time to be able to put together a solid quality podcast that's worth your time listening. So anyways, excited about that, excited about the kind of new format for the show. And, but yeah, so I'm going to be changing that up, and let's see what else. I'm going to be asking a lot more questions on the Facebook page as well. So make sure you follow if you don't. And I would love to get, we have a ton of interaction already when I post stuff, but I would love to get even more from our community and just have a really good community of people who are encouraging and supportive of each other as we trek through in this parenting thing. So anyways, yeah, so we're going to be doing that, releasing the podcast every other week. And I want to finish this episode out talking just briefly about, I'm not big into New Year's resolutions, just because, I've always been kind of weird about that anyways. Like, what is the new year anyways? It's, kind of a man-made timestamp, right? And so anyways, so I don't really do New Year's resolutions all that much, but I did kind of just take I did take just kind of a personal inventory of how I felt like I did this last year at being a dad. And I think there's a lot of things that I do really well. I think I'm really sensitive to our kids' feelings. I used to lack in that, but I think I've been getting a lot better in that. Um, I'm very loving with them, very affectionate, and always affirming them, never pushing them to do things that they don't want to do. Um, Encouraging. So I do a lot of those things. I do a lot of really good things, I think. Um, I have to give myself a little bit of credit sometimes. I tend to be a bit self-deprecating, and here's now time for the self-deprecation. Um, but I've been lacking and so poorly. Um, I've been doing so poorly in the area of letting my kids help. Nellie, our oldest, is such a helper, and that's all she ever wants to do is help and work. I mean, it's crazy, and she always says, "Dad, can I help? Dad, can I help?" And every once in a while, I would let her kind of do a little something, but most of the time, my response was always, "No, it's okay, baby. Daddy's got it. Why don't you play with this or play with that or whatever?" And I could always tell that she was kind of just like, she's such a trooper, but I could always tell she was kind of like, "Oh man." Um, but I don't know why I did it. I think it was mostly just um, probably convenience, and I don't know. I don't know why. Um, but I realized that in myself, and so I really am striving to change that about myself. And it's not a New Year's resolution really, because I feel like those things just die out. This is something that I want to be a lifelong change for me. Um, I've implemented it so far, and so far it is better than I could have ever imagined. Um, every time Nellie asks me now, "Dad, can I help?" If even if I'm trying to do it really quick, there's always something that I can have her help with. Yeah, taking the trash out. Yeah, you grab the door for me. Okay, now come and grab the gate and that kind of thing. Um, but I found that the more um, the more I've been doing that, the more affectionate Nellie is to me, and the more time she wants to spend with me, sitting with me and snuggling, and you know, um, I don't know. I just, if I would have known, if I would have realized that that was going to be how it would go, um, man, I swear I would have made this change a really long time ago. But I am imperfect, and so it took me a while to realize that. But the other night we were working on a fire. Our trash only goes, or our recycling only goes once a month here. And so I burn a lot of like cardboard and that kind of stuff that we build up from boxes and things. And so I have a big fire pit in the back. And so it was kind of, I was taking the day, I started it in the afternoon. And as I was starting it, Nellie said, "Dad, can I help?" And it was a beautiful day. It was like pretty warm out, and real gray, and just really nice day. And I said, I kind of took a minute and I said, "Man, what a good opportunity right now." And I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Come on." And she literally spent the next, man, I started it probably about two or three, and I ran the fire until like 2 in the morning, but Nellie did it with me until 8:30, 8:45 that night. I mean, I let her do pretty much everything. And I thought there was a good lesson in it too, that we're always telling our kids, don't play with fire, don't do this, don't do that, which is good. Obviously, we have to teach those things. But at the same time, we go, don't play with it, but here is how you handle it responsibly, right? So I thought it was a really good learning experience as well for her to just be able to kind of get comfortable around a fire and learn, about using a stick that's long enough to where she can get away from the heat and that kind of thing. And so I was guiding her with that. And man, she did it. She ran that fire all day and night, and she was proud of it. And at towards when it was getting close to her bedtime, I was letting the fire kind of die down. And she said, "Dad," we had just done the grand finale, which was like the biggest box that we had. And she said, Dad, um, do you want to sit in one of those chairs with me and look at the stars until the fire dies out? Word for word. And it was the most beautiful thing that she could have ever said in that moment. Just the sweetest ending to the most perfect afternoon with her and evening. And man, it was just incredible. And it just made me so thankful that um that I was able to realize that change needed to be made. And so I finished with this. I encourage you, if you don't do New Year's resolutions like me or whatever, still just take an inventory of how you're doing as a parent. And it's tough. Make sure that you really look at the things that you do well, a ton, and maybe start off with those. Start off with all the things that you think you do well. And I'm sure if you're honest with yourself, there are a lot of those things. On the other side, if you're honest with yourself, there are some things that you could change. And there are many more things that I could change other than this, trust me. And I will be talking about those things as well. But I encourage you to take personal inventory of how you're doing as a parent. And if you see areas that need correction, correct them. Start taking steps toward that, because all you're going to do is create a stronger, closer bond with your kids. And what could be sweeter than that? I don't know anything. I'm going to end with that. I love you guys. Happy 2018. It is so good to be back. It feels so good to be back. Thank you so much for following. If you don't already, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dad Imperfect. Okay? I love you guys so much. Happy 2018. I will see y'all in 2 weeks. Peace.
He's a dad and he's super rad. Sometimes he's good and sometimes